All right, Bob, let's go. Beautiful day. This is a 2011, I think, Ford F-150. It's got the big 5.0. The customer complaint is that it has kind of a ratcheting, chattering sound coming from the rear axle during a low-speed turn. He said it's getting worse. They've changed the oil and replaced the friction modifier. This is a limited slip differential, but it didn't make any difference. Alright, how do you operate the windshield wipers on this pig? Alright, it's probably not going to do it because the parking lot's covered in snow. It's probably just going to spin the wheels. We're in the stage of winter where I've given up on plowing. Yeah, you can definitely hear it. Well, hopefully you guys could hear that over the squeaky belt. Sometimes the camera picks up on weird frequencies. Anyway, it's definitely coming from the rear axle. I'm going to brush some snow off so it's not dripping on us the whole time we're working. If I was smart, I would have put it inside last night. I'll tell you guys a story from my used car dealership days. You seemed to enjoy that the last time. I was surprised to learn that apparently you can't sell cars if they have snow on them. Because a snowstorm was basically the end of the world at the car dealership. They would drop everything to clean the cars off. We'd be out there with brooms and shovels and, you know, plowing every inch of the parking lot. To me, they look the same, but apparently not. Ford has a TSB about this issue, a technical service bulletin. So it says axle shudder, chatter, vibration on slow speed turn. It affects 9.75 traction lock rear axle built on or before the 5th of March 2012. Affects 2009 to 2012 Ford F-150. So that is us. And it basically says that you may experience a shudder or chatter during a slow speed turn. Most noticeable after cold startup. Less noticeable after the axle fluid warms up. And basically what they want you to do is install a vent service kit and replace the traction lock clutch packs. So it's a limited slip differential. We're going to replace the clutch packs that create the limited slip part. So it says 2.3 hours is the suggested time. It's probably going to take us longer than that because we've never done this before. And it gives us a list of parts here. So there's the clutch pack. There's the 75-140 oil. You need a friction modifier, silicone, and then there's that vent tube kit. So yeah, pretty cut and dry. They say if you have the chatter, replace the clutches. So that is what we're going to do. Gotta say, this is one of the more bizarre Ford brake setups. At least I think it's weird. I love the little afterthought damper up here. They're gonna be a lot of fun when they're all rotted out. No hex left. All right, we're gonna try to take this pin out. Is it 10 millimeter? I think so. No. Let's try 3/8. There it is. You never know with these differentials. A lot of these designs go way back. Oh, let's see, it should have Loctite on it, so maybe we ought to give it a little bit of heat. Well, if there's anything I've learned from YouTube, doing multiple videos about working on differentials, if you don't show everything in painful detail, people just go bananas. So we are going to mark this cap with an R using our automatic center punch. I will mark the other one using an L. That way we'll know left from right and top from bottom. Well, these should be 13/16, and they are not. Like I said, these should be 3/4. There you go. Boy, that's some yummy smelling stuff. Now the fun part, got to rock this differential out of there. Someone in the comment section suggested that I should jam a bar in here and then rotate the pinion, and I guess somehow it'll walk the thing right up. So if we can do it without destroying the brake lines, we'll try it. Oh, I'm supposed to use a wrench, actually. Yeah, that's what I was missing. Yeah, there's your 13/16 on the ring gear bolts. So let's roll it around here. Okay, now according to the internet, I should be able to turn the drive shaft and that thing should just jump right out of there. Jump right out of there. Oh. Right. It should jump right out of there. There it is. There are some special tools we're supposed to have to do this job. I don't have them, so we're going to make our own. One of the tools is just, it's basically the same spline as the axle, and it's a holding fixture. So I just used the actual axle held in the vise. Hopefully that works. And then we also have to spread the spider gears apart so that we can get the spring pack or the clutch pack out. The whole thing's held together under pressure by some big Belleville washers. So we're going to try this with some all thread here. Like so. And just a couple of big washers. This is a washer off of a spring or a shock absorber for a big truck. And we'll put that on there like so. All right, that should be enough. Looky there. Alright guys, here's the parts we're going to use. We have two of these guys, which are the Belleville washers, the springs that preload the clutch packs. The TSB does not say to replace these, but when I ordered the parts from the Ford mothership, their parts system suggested that I replace these. They're not that expensive. I think they're like 16 bucks a piece. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then this, there's your part number, is the actual clutch pack, which Ford helpfully calls a spacer kit for whatever reason. Inside, you're going to find a new pin, cross pin, or cross pin retainer, whatever it's called. There's some cheat sheets here. and 2 new clutch packs. It says specifically that it comes with a matched shim, which I believe is this guy here. So we're going to discard the entire original clutch pack assembly. There's nothing out of here that we're going to reuse. We're also supposed to soak the clutch packs in a friction modifier for 15 minutes before we assemble it. So we'll do that. The oil that we're going to use has the additives already built into it, so we're not going to add any to the oil, but we will use some of this stuff raw to soak the clutch packs. I guess just to keep them from sticking right off the hop. So yeah, let's get started. One thing that's annoying, or I find very annoying, is that the instruction sheet specifically says to install the clutch pack as it comes. Do not change the order. But the order is wrong. This shim should actually go on this side, I believe, according to the service data, not the other way around. And they're both that way. So I don't know why I don't know. What's the point of having the instruction sheet if it's wrong? It drives me crazy. Actually, just to show you guys, in the instruction sheet, it doesn't even show the shim. So it shows the Belleville washer, and then it shows the clutches and the steels, but there's no, well, the frictions in the steels, but there's no shim in the diagram. So thanks, Ford. Always looking out for us. All right, and the Belleville washer goes with the concave side facing towards the differential carrier. We've got the top and bottom clutch pack and gear installed. I've got the spreading tool installed. Now we have to roll the spider gears back in, which is easier said than done, I think. One thing, I did line up the teeth on the top and bottom bevel gears just so that these will mesh. Okay, so we want to make sure, absolutely sure, that they're directly across from each other. And I think they are. All right, now we have to use 3 hands and 2 feet to roll this thing around. So that axle wants to slip in the vise, so I got to put a pry bar across the studs, hold that with my foot/ankle, and then use both hands some way to try to turn this differential carrier. It's a lot of fun. Oh, come on. All right, guys, let's talk briefly about how this differential works. It's going to be a lot of chin wagging, so I'll put a timestamp. You guys can skip this part, you know, if you just don't care or you already know or whatever. It's basically magic. So the magic is in the clutch pack itself, there's a Belleville washer. The Belleville washer is essentially a spring, and it puts a preload on the clutch pack. It's not that much, but it's enough to put, let's say, 200 foot-pounds of torque on between this gear and the carrier at any given time. That's the force that we were trying to overcome when we were rolling the spider gear into the carrier with my 2 wrenches. So it's not that much. I can overcome it by hand, but it is some amount of torque, preload torque. So what happens is the gears inside the differential, they have a pressure angle between the teeth, and they naturally want to push each other apart all the time, no matter what. And the clutch pack takes advantage of that. And as the torque increases over the preload torque, it collapses the Belleville washer so that it basically becomes flat, and it squeezes the clutch pack. And there's no limit to that. The gear can slide over and squeeze this clutch pack as much as it wants. The more it squeezes the clutch pack, the more torque that it applies. But it's self-regulating. As the truck gets out of whatever slippery situation that it's in, the torque's going to decrease on that wheel as the other side increases its traction, and the clutch pack will open back up, and it goes back down to that preset 200 foot-pound, preload torque. So it never goes lower than that, but it can go basically as high as it wants. Now, there's actually a similar mechanism that you can find inside of a chain fall, like this guy here. So this is, believe it or not, this contains a self-regulating friction clutch, just like this differential. So as you crank it up, there's a ratchet, but between the ratchet and the little wheel here that turns the chain, there's a clutch. And the more load that's on the chain, the tighter it tightens the clutch. It's on a little ramp inside there, just like here with the pressure angle of the gears. And this one is probably on like a spiral. So the more load you have on the chain, the tighter the clutch is. And when you flip this thing into reverse, what you're doing is unloading the spiral. So you're decreasing the clamping load of that clutch. But it's self-regulating. So if I pull the lever back 90 degrees, the chain comes down some amount, but as soon as I stop turning the lever, I stop unloading the clutch, and the chain tightens the clutch back up, and it maintains the load position. Now, that's old school stuff. It's been around for hundreds of years, but it's very clever. And yeah, it's kind of cool to think about. The drawback to this design is that this is a limited slip. It's not a locker. There's a ratio of how much torque gets applied to the carrier versus to the wheel that has good traction. And it's not 100%. It's also not 100% predictable when the thing is going to transfer the torque. So, it's not really an apples to apples comparison to a true locking differential. And that, there's a lot of tweaking that goes into these as far as the strength of the preload spring and the pressure angle of the gear. And, there's different types. There's like one-way, two-way, 1.5-way differentials where they actually use the cross pin to spread or to tighten the clutches. Everybody's got their own idea about it. These help, but they are not as good as a locking differential. Yeah, these bearings do have some wear on them, but it still has good preload. Truck's got 200 and something thousand miles on it, so I think they'll carry it across the finish line, no problem. "77 foot-pounds on the caps. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and replace these axle seals. They're not leaking at all, but Murphy's Law being what it is. So if I don't replace them, I'm 100% sure they'll leak. All right, we got some grease on the inside there just to keep the spring from popping off. And a little bit of grease on the seal surface, just so we don't burn it up. And these are a tight fit. There we go. Okay, we'll let that bake for an hour or so and then torque those bolts up. All right, we got to fill her up using only the finest 75-140 synthetic gear oil. I get a lot of lamentations from guys. They feel powerless to stop themselves from buying a lot of the fancy tools that I show off on the channel. It does get a little hard on the pocketbook, but I want you guys to know that I am not immune. Recently, Mr. Eric O, South Main Auto, he showed off this fancy tool. It's a transfer pump that runs off of a cordless drill, and he was using it to fill up a differential, and I felt my wallet instantly get a little bit lighter. So I ordered one up. We're gonna try it out. I have not used it. It looked pretty slick on his channel, so we're gonna try her out. So it comes with this little adapter, and then I don't know, it's like a little belt here. So yeah, Oh, is the DeWalt too girthy? Maybe. Oh, no, there we go. All right. Okay, we're buckled in. Cool. Now, comes with a couple of different hoses. I'm assuming one like this might be a suction hose, and then that little guy is maybe the filler hose. I don't know. I think we'll save that one in case we've got to suck something out of some tight place. She's got a pretty good sized fill plug, so I think we'll just use 2 of those. What am I doing wrong here? Jeez, it's working, but man, it's slow. Hope I'm doing this right. Does it have to be in reverse? No. Okay, it does work, but she's not going to set any speed records. I don't know if it's just because, you know, this 75 140 is pretty thick stuff, but it honestly took about 15 minutes to pump 3 quarts into that differential. So that doesn't seem very good to me. I mean, chop the top off here, jam a hose on it, and squeeze the thing in there and be done in about 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. Let's call it a mixed review. I think there's places where it would absolutely be awesome, like on the Ford Ranger where we rebuilt the transmission. You know, the fill plug's like this far away from the frame rail, and trying to jockey some stupid hose up inside there, it's a pain in the butt. This would be awesome for that. But I'm not sure it's the tool for every job. Anyway, if anybody's got one, let me know what you think about it. Yeah, I think we're done. Wheels are back on. Let's set it back down and see how much racket it makes. All right, folks, I think that's it. You notice you still get a little bit of a ratcheting, shuddering sound. That's only when I have my foot on the brakes, which that should be the normal operation for the limited slip differential. So when you have your foot on the brake, it kind of helps to preload those clutches, and I think you still get a little bit of noise, but it's very much improved over what it was. Well, there you go. It's not too bad of a job, really. You know, definitely plan on more than 2.3 hours or whatever the TSB says if you've never done it before and you don't have all the special tools. But, you know, with a couple of those under your belt, I think you could probably pull it off. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully next time we'll be back on the Chevy C10. All the parts are here, I think. It's just waiting on me to get some time to finish it up. So stay tuned.